Hi, I'm Ed. This is my lovely wife, Lisa. We've been married for almost 4 decades. I know that's shocking because you think they're in their early 40s. Well, welcome to the Creative Marriage Podcast, where we talk about keeping your love. My love is alive, no matter what life throws at your marriage. Lisa, today we're talking about some questions, but a lot of these questions come from our book, The Creative Marriage. It's just dropped. It's updated, expanded, illustrated, and consummated in 1982 when we walked down the aisle and got married. Our honeymoon, of course, was in Hawaii. It's available at xomarriage.com/store or Amazon. Now, I have some questions that I want to ask you, Lisa, and then I'll respond to these.
Hey, we're going to ask one another.
Okay, the first one is
you're
this.
not going to put me in the hot
Because,
seat
you know,
by
you have to
myself.
ask questions. I'm telling you, I've learned more about marriage and life by taking the right information and applying it to where I live. I always say, ask the right people the right questions to get the right answers. I feel more confident, so does Lisa, talking about marriage today than ever before. More so than when I was 40 or 30 or 20, et cetera, et cetera.
And you know what? It's a life principle. Don't ever stop
But we've
asking
not
questions.
arrived. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm dialed in or Lisa's dialed in. We have the perfect marriage. No. But I do want to ask some questions because people learn when you ask questions, especially when you ask questions from people who have been doing this for a while.
I was going to say, too, though,
All right.
in everything in life, whether it's marriage, business, don't ever stop asking questions because that's how you learn. And you do a great job at asking questions.
Appreciate it.
I need to do a better job of that. But, hey, today I'm going to ask you some and you're going to ask me some.
Whoa. Okay, I've got one. The first one. What's one major issue or recurring issue? Ooh, because 69% of all issues are recurring in marriage that you have had in your marriage. And how often do you deal with it?
Okay, so first of all, don't be, don't get all down because 69% of issues are reoccurring.
In all marriages.
In all relationships. They're just some things that are personality based that you will not resolve.
It doesn't matter if you're an A-lister, a billionaire, or someone who's middle class. I mean, it's everyone has these
and so you're not going to fix
Every
it, but
marriage
you have a lifetime of your marriage to work on these things and to learn how to deal and cope. And it's not like settling. I don't mean it in that regard. It's just learning to deal with each other's differences in such a way that you can begin to celebrate one another's differences. So,
okay, but what's that reoccurring issue that we've had, that you've had, that I've had?
I would say.
How about from you? Then I'll say what it is for me. Your reoccurring issue.
What you want me to say? What I do that annoys you, or
and then I'll say.
Oh, I'd rather tell what you do that annoys me. Oh, me.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we've talked about these things. It's not like we're throwing each other under the bus.
No.
But I grew up where my dad was, he could fix anything. He was gifted at building. He was an engineer, an architect. And if anything...
he could build like the space shuttle in his backyard. He's one of those guys.
He could, I don't know about that, but he did build a barn in our backyard that he drew the plans on a paper sack. So he was pretty gifted at that.
Yes.
And if anything broke in our house, my dad fixed it. My dad put gas in my mom's car every Saturday, washed the cars, changed the oil.
Guilty.
Fix stuff like that. And so I came into marriage thinking, Ed's going to do that very same thing. Ed can't fix things. He doesn't he doesn't own a toolbox.
No.
If he does try to fix things, it's not going to be done correctly.
Right. So I just pay for it.
So
no. It's not what I do. First, I call Lisa to fix it. If she can't fix it, then I'll call someone to pay for it.
But I went into our marriage with this expectation that Ed's gonna be a handyman, and for 40 years, I think in my head, I'm thinking maybe today's the day that Ed's gonna fix something. No, he's not. He is not a handyman, but he has tremendous gifts in other areas. We've learned to understand how to navigate.
One time, though, I was carrying a hammer across the house to nail this nail, and when Lisa saw it, She just attacked me in
Oh,
love, started
it was the
kissing me.
sexiest thing you've ever seen in your life.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's a
That's just
a
something.
reoccurring.
Tell me what's a reoccurring for you that I maybe
I
do.
would say that me being an extrovert and you being a little bit more introverted in a lot of areas.
Yeah. And the good thing is you've taught me how to step out of my comfort zone. And hopefully maybe I've taught you maybe sometimes just reel it in a little bit.
And you also too, you do a great job at thinking about your words before you say them. I don't as much. You're more organized. I'm more free spirited. Yet you've learned how to be more free spirited. And I think I've learned how to become more organized.
Maybe it's a
Yeah.
trade-off. So, okay. How about the second one? What is one
But that is a reoccurring issue.
Now
And it comes up a lot.
But the second question kind of relates to that. It's what is one thing that you didn't know or expect about your spouse before you got married, and how did it cause conflict?
Whoa.
Wow. Okay, this is kind of frivolous, but I didn't realize how loud you are. You are very, very loud.
I'm a loud person. I mean, I sing constantly.
And it's not like you got louder after we got
I didn't
married.
even realize it, but I hum all the time. I sing all the time, make sound effects all the time.
And you know, when you're dating, that's all cute. It's really, you love it.
Yeah, those things when you're dating that were so cute. Oh, he's so conservative financially.
And then
he's so funny. And then all of a sudden you get married.
You don't let me spend a dime.
No. Your humor's driving me crazy.
You do hum a lot too.
I do. That's one thing.
And loud, and especially during COVID when everybody's working from home, and we have hardwood floors in our house. It's like the sound reverberates, and so it was louder than normal. But the good thing is, I always know you're very present.
Lisa, I don't know. One thing that I didn't know or expect.
Was I kind of an open book? I don't know. Before we got married, I don't know. Maybe there's not one. Should we go on to the third question?
Also, maybe I didn't realize you were more sensitive than I thought. More sensitive.
That's just because you grew up with brothers.
Yeah. I did.
Ed grew up with two brothers.
And I think the sensitivity in all areas, even like when we get into arguments, or let's say I make a remark or joke around,
it might hurt
or whatever.
my feelings.
Yeah, and
because I take it serious. I didn't have any brothers, so I'm not used to kidding and joking
humor,
and all that
I've realized female humor is different than male humor.
Slightly.
I mean, females laugh with each other. Males laugh at each other. We have nicknames, joke around. Women do not deal with nicknames with each other. So I would say that.
Okay, wait. Ed had a nickname for me. Do you remember? And it was a good nickname for me. You thought you called me Big Lee because my maiden name was
not
Lee.
Because it was
not because
Big Lee.
Big Lee.
What's up, Big Lee? I like it.
And he just called me that.
Call him out. What's up, man? What's up, big man? What's up? Yeah. So I just figured I'll just bring that into marriage. Big Lee.
That's what he called me, Big Lee.
Unpopular.
So just be careful.
Trend.
Just be careful with your humor. I was like, no, I'm not going with that one. So, okay. How do you deal with the fact that you married your spouse, but you also married their family? Gosh, that's a big one for you and me. Don't you think? Because
that's a great question.
Oh, our families are different.
About this.
Yeah, we've mentioned before that the common thread of our families is that we come from Christian backgrounds, but man, my family is so organized.
Diametrically.
I mean, we plan things. There is not one thing that's not on a calendar. And once you put it on the calendar, it's not in pencil, it's in pen. It is inked on, and you're not going to change it.
And I love to change. Change.
Ed changes, and changes, and changes.
I love change because it's just change. You always can have those options.
But when it comes to family, you always must individuate. Ed and
What does that
I
mean?
individuate, but we are our family. In other words,
That's
you and
huge.
I, when we got married, we began our family. This whole thing, we tried to deal with
For
it
this
well.
cause, a man shall
Leave.
leave. Right, leave.
So yeah, we're married to family in a sense, but you have to have lines of demarcation.
This is big because I mean, think about the holidays and the pressures and all of that. That's we've talked a lot. We need to do some podcast on this about marriage and dealing with adult children and in-laws and outlaws and what effect that has on marriage.
Yes. But I would say just make sure you have your lines drawn in how you function as a family, and then it trickles out to the others. His family and my family do not control our family. It's something we consider, but we have our own little unit.
And there's always going to be those control issues that you have to fight, but you have to, as Lisa said, draw the lines in the sand, but also build bridges of love. But
okay, this is a good one, Ed.
I'm here.
How do you set boundaries with your spouse about what gets argued around your little ones? About conflict in front of your children.
That is a genius question.
Conflict in front of your children. Okay, so remember that sacred bedroom, that your bedroom is a sanctuary for the husband and wife? That's where you need to deal with serious conversations. However, you're going to be in front of family and your kids, and you're going to have a issue maybe arise, come up with your spouse. It's okay. As long as you follow the rules of engagement, you're not name calling, you're not disrespecting.
And you're teaching your kids how to conflict resolve.
Yes, how to resolve conflict so that
I'm sorry, how to resolve conflict.
Yeah, it doesn't matter either way. You want to get it resolved.
You do.
And the best place for them to learn that is in the home. And they will pick up on how you communicate, how you problem solve.
Because they might see and then reconciliation.
That's right. And what they need to see too is a unified front. Ed and I can disagree, but we're going to reconcile and have a unified front. That's like
great.
that.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. Okay. We live very busy lives and we've raised 4 children. How in the world do you find time to stay on the same page with our marriage?
It is funny, the response these days when someone goes, "How are you doing?" It used to be, "I'm doing fine." Now it's, "I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy." Really, when I say that, I'm saying, "I'm important." We all, though.
It's about priorities.
Yeah, we all have busy lives.
What's the most important thing to you? And how does your calendar and your commitments show those priorities?
We'll unpack this on one of the podcasts because priorities are something in marriage and family that I think we theoretically know and understand and even maybe agree with, but as far as living those out in the real world.
So our priorities are our relationship with God, our relationship to one another in our marriage and our family, and then from there, the church. And you go, "Oh my goodness, y'all are pastors, so of course it's the church." No, I come from a non-pastor background. Our family was connected to the church. And even as pastors, especially with what you and I have gone through over this past year with the death of our daughter, I will tell you, the church has been our lifeline. We have received support like none other. And so that consistency in being in God's house is part of those priorities. We each have our own time of study. Bible study, devotional time,
or daily quiet time, or prayer time, or
we
whatever
pray
you want
together.
to say.
And then this is something that you taught me, Ed. We've learned the art of saying no.
Yes, right. I love to do this. No, 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 because there's a bigger yes. So we say no, 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 because there's a bigger yes.
Yeah. So
and a lot of us are afraid to say no.
I tend to have a problem saying no because I don't want to
know our
disappoint.
no's.
I'm a people
It's
person.
not easy. It's not easy to do that. But when you have the date night schedule, when you have a family night schedule or whatever, that's your schedule. Unless something like massive takes its place.
Yeah, but
you have
if that only happens every once in a while, that's
It's cool.
okay. But I'm a people pleaser, so I tend to have more difficulty saying no. I want to make everybody happy, but that's not what's most important. We say no in order to make a priority the better yes.
That's right.
In our priorities.
And then the seventh question is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 6. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
6.
6. I'm sorry, 6. Moving from communication to conflict resolution. How do you handle financial stress in your marriage? Because finances, man, we can get freaky about finances very rapidly. There's nothing like financial pressure. Again, Lisa, when we first got married, well, we were absolutely 100% clueless regarding how to handle.
You have to lean into the right people. I'm so thankful for some great leaders who teach on money management and all of those different things. It also goes back to communication. What are your goals for your future? And you've got to prepare for those early on in your marriage. You have to, not accrue debt, because that's just going to make the burden even greater. And talk.
You can have a mortgage when you say
Right,
no
I
debt.
I know, but I'm just talking about, consistent debt
Yes.
after debt
Oh,
after
yeah.
debt after debt. So when it comes to finances, communicate about them, plan for them. And then I love what our daughter and her husband do. They actually do a once a month date night to talk about
It's kind of
finances.
extreme, but
I think it's a brilliant idea, because
Okay.
not only do they talk about their budget and how well they've done, but they also talk about their future, their
okay.
goals, how they want to plan
I know
trips,
that, yeah.
how they want to provide.
Yeah.
See, that's
That
a
is
good
good, that's good,
aspect.
that's good,
And then they have
yes.
2 boys, soon
Yep.
another one on the way.
Right.
So I think that's a great thing.
And it's just the 10-10-80 principle. First 10% goes to God's house, second 10 savings, and then live on 80, and you can kind of, go with that,
Yeah.
But one is usually more of a free spender. The other is going to be a little bit more conservative. I would tend to be more of a free spender. Lisa's going to tend to be more conservative. I've learned to be more conservative because of Lisa. She's learned to be a little bit. I mean, you're super
Yeah.
generous anyway, but
A little bit more.
a little
But
bit more.
I think that's all we have time for today in
Oh,
this
man.
episode. I know it's been fun.
We're on a roll.
I
but
love it.
it's
I
over
love it.
right now. This podcast.
Thank you for joining us for the Creative Marriage Podcast. And if you're liking this podcast,
5
please
stars.
please subscribe and
5 stars.
give us a 5-star review and tell people about it. We want to get the word out, and that would help us greatly. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining us for another episode of the Creative Marriage Podcast.